Well, just to kind of fill you in kind of on my timelines, I'm sure you're like, who's this chick? So basically, it really kind of began before we got into storm restoration. So my husband and I actually met at Cutco Cutlery, which have you ever heard of like Vector Marketing before or Cutco, like the knives?
I started Cutco when I was 16. I lied about my age and told them I was 18, and they never checked my ID. I was in
Smart.
high school, and
Wielded
I
some
sold.
knives, cut some pennies in half. Yeah,
Cut the rope, spread the rope.
the leather. Yeah,
I'm sure they
you've been
still do
there.
that. That was 30 or 20 years ago for me. Yeah.
Well, nothing has changed, so it's terrific. So he actually was he's 8 years older than me. So he had been a district manager for 6 years. So he managed basically what he did for 6 years between Omaha, Nebraska, and Kansas City, Kansas was recruit, hire, and train direct salespeople and create management. So like the Cutco model, I don't know if you'd remember or not, but it's all promoting from within. So Trent's whole job was not only to continually build a team, but to promote roles from inside. So develop sales managers, develop other district managers to then promote to have branch offices that were a part of his circle. Kind of like what you guys are probably doing in a way with Mastercraft at this point is kind of a franchise. You guys have multiple locations, and if you're promoting from within, so you experience lower attrition because people don't have to leave to start their own thing. They can be a part of Mastercraft, but have their own sideshow, essentially. I'm sure that your model might be a little bit different than that. So that's what he did. And after my sophomore year of college, I actually came back from the University of Iowa. I was living in Council Bluffs at the time. Trent's office was in Omaha. And I got one of those mailers that's like, student work for the summer. And I'm like, I could do that. I could sell knives. And so that's actually how we met. And I was a full-time salesperson. I ended up dropping out of college because I was making so much money selling knives. I'm like, why go back to school? So did that for a few years. And during that journey, one of our buddies who actually, he was a Cutco manager for a few years, but then had gone into storm restoration. He started talking to us about selling roofs. And we're like, what? Like, he's telling us about this industry, which we had never heard of. Like, we didn't even know that storm restoration was a thing. But at the time, he was the vice president of Aspen Contracting. Well, he was branching off and starting his own company. So he recruited the shit out of us, basically. And we were kind of in a unique situation anyway. We were kind of burnt out from Cutco, wanted to do something different, but didn't really know, like, what we were going to do. So timing was just kind of right for us. And we packed up, moved out to Pennsylvania, and started working storms. Did really well. We worked with this guy basically for a couple of years, and then we ended up moving to St. Louis and starting our own company. So we're kind of tired of living out of like Rubbermaid containers, driving around all the time. So we were in our own company, not a huge company. I mean, a couple million a year in St. Louis for like 3 years. And then during that time, I was working on creating all this content for a roof sales training program. Because one of the biggest things we noticed, like Cutco they have this stuff down to a science. I mean, that company literally recruits somewhere between like 20 and 30,000 people a year nationwide. I mean, an individual office, like Trent was responsible for hiring and training like 800 up to 1,000 people a year personally. So this is a company that from the recruiting to the sales training to the management, setting up offices, launching people, the whole bit. I mean, they have it down to a turnkey system. So when we got into this business, we were like, what the hell? Like these aren't even real businesses. They're like you've seen it. It's mostly dudes who see an opportunity. And I mean, if you're not a complete moron in this business, you can make it work, but you can make it work so much better if you have systems in place, right? So I got, by no means am I trying to say I'm the best salesperson in the world. I'm not. Certainly there are people who've done way more than me, multiple millions of dollars personally in sales per year. But I was $1 million or $1.25 million salesperson a year. I was doing really well. And I realized like there is so much I could be teaching people in this industry. Somebody should do it. And at the time, Trent and I were we're like, you know what? We're doing really well without any training, just kind of figuring it out on our own. But what if we actually had training in this industry? Like what if we could just increase what we're doing by 20%? I mean, that'd be huge. So we started looking, we're like, roof sales training, nothing, like nothing's showing up. We're like, is this seriously, nobody's doing anything? And we finally came across one small conference at the time. We're like, what the hell? We'll spend a couple grand, go down there and check out this conference. I mean, certainly we'll learn something. So at the end of 2 days, I think there were maybe only like 25 other people there. But like, this is not to be speaking negatively about what anybody else is doing. Everybody is in different levels completely. But at the end, we were like, really? Like, that's what we got for our money? Like, I don't think I learned anything new. The dude spelled ladder, L-A-T-T-E-R, and it's the roofing industry. I'm like, oh my God. So
the same, it's like a bona fide sales meeting from the existing situation.
Exactly. And so I was just like, this is crazy. I mean, and you know how during a conference, I mean, everybody puts in their 2 cents. There's discussion going on, and you'll raise your hand and say, yeah, actually, I dealt with a situation like this, and this is what we did. We found worked for us. Well, at the end of that 2-day conference, people weren't going up to them and asking them questions. They were coming up to us. And I was like, you know what? We have so much to share. And Trent's like, babe, you just need to sit down and like put this stuff together. So that's what I did. And I spent like a year and a half just writing everything that I know, from my word-for-word sales presentation, door approaches, referrals, supplements, adjuster negotiations, O&P, the whole bit. Built a program. Long story short, launched it last February, so like about a year and a half ago or just under that. And it's been taken off from there. At this point, it's like, we were in St. Louis. We've always wanted to live in the mountains in Colorado. This has basically been our dream for years now. And it just kind of got to a point where, I mean, at this point, Roof Sales Mastery is doing so well. We're literally able to live wherever we want as long as we have internet. And I get to sit in my pajamas if I want to, teach people how to sell roofs. And we actually kind of cashed out of our roofing company just in January, and we moved in February out here to Gypsum. So we just moved out here like 3 months ago. But that's in a nutshell my story. Hopefully you're not tired of hearing my voice now.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's the American dream. Yeah. So we unfortunately are still doing this storm business crap. So you need
suckers. I'm just joking.
I'm not. At least he is.
Someone's got to do it.